Toyota's Prius remains the most recognisable hybrid vehicle on our roads, but it's very different in this fourth generation, guys. There's a sleeker, more striking shape, made possible by a stiffer, more sophisticated platform that helps to substantially improve the handling. The hybrid powertrain's cleverer too, hence a set of efficiency returns that once more establish this car's superiority over comparably priced diesel rivals. In short, this car's been thoroughly rejuvenated.
On the move, you'll notice some changes to the Prius this time around if you happen to be familiar with an earlier model. For a start, you sit lower down and the driving position's more engaging. That promises a more responsive set of driving dynamics, which are duly delivered through the corners thanks to the extra stiffness and lower centre of gravity made possible by this car's new TNGA Toyota New Global Architecture platform. The sharper electric steering rack also helps here, as does the newly developed double wishbone rear suspension, which is nearly 50% better than before at soaking up impacts from our country's terrible tarmac. At first glance, fewer changes have been made to the hybrid powertrain, which still comes mated to a 1.8-litre VVTi petrol engine. Actually, though, that VVTi unit is very different with this car, now working in partnership with a more responsive CVT auto gearbox. The hybrid technology has been developed too, and as part of that you get a more effective battery and a clever heat recovery system, which combine to enable the electric motor to cut in 60% more frequently than it did with the previous generation model. That is a major factor in the creation of the substantially improved efficiency stats this time around, up to 94.1 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 70 grams per kilometre of CO2 when the car is running on the smaller 15-inch alloy wheels. Now, to get anywhere near those kind of returns, you've got to embrace a very environmentally minded style of driving, activating the provided eco mode and keeping an eye on a vast array of electronic readouts provided to discourage any unnecessary flexing of your right foot. It is the Prius way, though, and the payoff comes at the pumps. The appearance of a Prius must not only be instantly recognisable, but also aggressively futuristic. That is, after all, the whole point of it. I mean, were you to want this technology packaged more conventionally, then you'd be looking at one of Toyota's more ordinary models, a Yaris, an Auris or a RAV4. Here, in contrast, is the poster child of the eco-revolution, complete with its familiar styling cues, the trademark arching roofline, the slab sides and the double rear screen. Yet, somehow, this time round, it's different. The concept behind this car reinvented for the modern era by a team of young Japanese designers who set out to make it look more powerful, more engaging and sporty. Time to move inside and investigate a cabin that committed Prius people will find much the same, yet very different. As before, there are no dials to view through the three-spoke steering wheel. Instead, the instrument cluster retains its position top and centre on the dash, in this case made up of a couple of 4.2-inch TFT colour screens. Anything this can't tell you will probably be dealt with by the Toyota Touch 2 media screen that sits a little further down on the centre stack, just below these neatly branded air vents. Enough with the various screens. What about the design? Well, the lower bonnet and the deeper windscreen mean that forward visibility is certainly better than in the past. Otherwise, as usual with the Prius, it all feels very different, with the layered dashboard as ever prioritising distinct control and display zones. Time to move rearwards and take a seat in the back. A process that, unless you're really quite short, will involve the need to duck below this sloping roofline. Legroom here is generous, and thanks to the low central transmission tunnel, it's much easier to seat 3 people here than would normally be the case in this size of car. Finally, let's take a look out back. Now, with previous Prius models, the batteries took up cargo room. No longer. they've been redesigned here to be more compact, and this, along with the Mark IV version's revised rear suspension and more compact hybrid system, means that boot space has risen by 56 litres to a 502 litre total, 343 litres of which is below the window line. So, Toyota's Prius finally makes real-world sense. A car you can justify buying, even if you're not trying to make some kind of environmental statement. True, it isn't cheap, but it is decent value for what you get, especially if you compare against comparably specified high-efficiency diesel rivals, featuring engine technology that, well, by comparison, dates back to the Ark. Now, with enhanced driving dynamics, a roomier cabin and a more user-friendly design, this fourth-generation version deals with many of the drawbacks that used to be part and parcel of Prius ownership. As a result, Toyota has created a model here that's increasingly difficult to ignore in the gloomy times we live in. A Prius for the people, then? Well, that is about the size of it. Toyota's hybrid revolution continues to gather pace.